Welcome back to Rich Tech. Today we are going to try to transform this cable into a working cable or almost new cable. You may not believe that, but at the end of it you will see the big difference. That's how it looks now. Filthy, chaffed, not looking good. At the end of it, you want to connect it to this charger. This is a 60-watt charger, MagSafe 1 adapter that is, and together with that you can see this one is missing the junction, or the junction has been cut down. So you're going to transform this junction here. This also had some tape repair. We're going to transform it to a working junction, connect it to this, then connect both to this and come up with a complete charger. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, kindly subscribe, like and share. Now to repair this cable, the first thing you've got to do, first of all, which is obvious, is to remove this filth. This masking tape used to repair the damage. As I had said in the previous video, these are the kind of repairs which people do in order to lengthen the lives of these chargers which are breaking apart. Apple has made these chargers to be durable, but the cables are not. So the cable wears off before the charger's life ends, so to speak. Underneath there is sellotape. It is gone. On the end here you can also see there is tape. I can guess that this was used to repair the junction. So I'm not going to bother unraveling all this because I can see I can stick my scissor right through it. So I'll cut it once and for all and remove it. You can even cut it this way, but careful not to cut the cable underneath. This is filthy. All this goes to the rubbish bin. Here's the cable without the tapes. The next obvious thing to do here is to clean this cable. And at this point, I'll introduce you to what we're going to use to do these repairs. We'll need just simple tools like super glue, a razor, some scoring powder, and a clean cloth, or any cloth for that matter. I thought I should clean a small portion to show you how this cable will look like once you've cleaned all of it. You can see this portion here is relatively good just after a few scrubs with the scouring powder. The difference between the clean and the unclean is very clear. So we want the whole cable to look like that. Let's proceed with this cleanup. Now here's the cable cleaned, most of it anyway. That end I'll cut off, so there's no need to clean that. And at this point, at the end here, this is where we have the damage. These pins are fold up, so I'm going to work on this next. And let me show you how to do this. To clear the connector, I'll use this toothbrush. That is done. Now for this other end of the cable, of course we don't need it. Just cut a fair distance inwards. dispose that. Now we'll make a clean junction out of that point. So before we proceed any further with this repair, I will test if this cable is working, and that is by only connecting it to a charger. Here's the charger which we want to connect it with. I'll go ahead and open this. We don't need this junction, so we cut it off. We'll strip those wires, get the ends, and connect it to a new cable. Those are the ends of the wires already stripped, ready for connection to the new cable. In the meantime, I'll prepare this junction. Pull out these old wires. Here are the wires pulled out from this. I'll clear the inside of this. Place something metallic or strong enough to push this middle portion out. That's it. Now let's pull this back. Here's the junction, all the way clear through there. This side is also clear. Now to clean it up and join it to the cable. Junction is in the cable. I will strip the cable off this outer insulation to expose the wires. So you're going to test this charger this way. We connect this to a power source. Listen out for the input. There will be a pop when this is connected to a live power source. And then connect this to the wire sticking out there. Then we'll connect this end to a Macbook. And with that, if this lights up, that is this LED, then we'll know this one is charging. Of course, it has to turn from green to amber. Here's the power source. I'll just connect it and let's listen out for a pop sound. Add that. So this has input. Since I'm using a MacBook Air to test this MagSafe 1 connector, I'll need an adapter like this to convert MagSafe 1 to MagSafe 2. With that, I'll connecting to my MacBook, and now we can connect these two wires to see if there is any light there. There is no light at the end of that connector. I'm going to open up this to see why there is no light. Now to open this, I use a cloth over this metal contact so as not to cause abrasions on it. So the pins look alike from within. Then I'll remove this part inside. Next, I'm pulling this rubber junction from this point slowly by turning it back and forth. Once that one is out, then I'll push this inner part back. There is a locking point on this side, so I'll push this back so as to lift it up. The locking portion has come out. Now we'll lift it up to remove it. Be careful with this, it's very delicate. is out. We've not damaged anything. These are the LED lights. One is green, one is orange. The ones which light up when this charger is connected to the MacBook. I want to find out if there's any problem here. Now after removing this connector and cleaning it up, pushing the pins in and out, and some further work there, I'm testing it again. I've connected it to the adapter, and let's see. There we go. So first the green, then the amber. That shows that this charger is now charging the MacBook. Now we can go ahead and reassemble this, of course removing this part of the cable which was spoiled. So as I said before, we'll cut off this outer rubber insulation which is destroyed. Push this over the insulation as before. We'll need it later, but for now we can push it back. Then you can also push this casing back. All you're trying to do is to expose this area where we're working on, and you can cut off this remaining part. Now this looks neater. All we now got to do is to pull this rubber insulation all the way to that point. Now I've pulled it all the way the end, and I've secured it there with the super glue. Next is to return everything back in here. Before we do that, I'll secure this back inside the casing with glue. Next we push all this back inside the casing. Being careful not to break this joint right here. But before we do that, it's important to apply glue on this cable end at that point. This glue will hold this portion of the rubber insulation and hold it in place, so that when this cable is pulled, it will not break this joint. So very quickly push it in before the glue sets. It's back in, make sure it locks back into place. I've had to remove this contact so that I can push that lock into place. So this is not going anywhere, it is also held at that point. You can push the pins back and forth. You can see they are depressing nicely and coming back up. Now we'll prepare this. It has some glue on it from the previous assembly. Remove that glue. All previous glue is removed, but I'm also going to remove this plastic within so as to clean it. You also clean this using our toothbrush. We also clean the inside of this metal contact, it's also dirty. You can dip this brush in some water. Make sure you dry up everything before you assemble. Now we can reassemble. There are depressions inside this plastic. So the side with the depressions, place it face it down. Make sure it fits or sets down in place. Okay, then we'll fit this up here. I'll put super glue all around, but someone has asked me this in the previous videos. If I put super glue here, it will make the pins also to get stuck. This is something I've done before, but also I'm very careful when I'm doing this. I only apply glue to the plastic portion all around to ensure that I'm not putting it anywhere where it is not required. And so if you're doing this, you also need to be careful so that you don't put glue on the pins. And quickly we restore this. I'll press this down with a pair of pliers over a piece of cloth so that I don't cause any marks on it. Press firmly down, but make sure you don't bend the aluminium casing. If you do it firmly, that is what you'll end up with. The glue dries rather very fast. You can see some of it is outside here. You can see it's already dried. And also we need to make sure that these pins are moving freely in and out. So I'll just push them one by one. That's okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's no glue on our pins. Once this metallic contactors are stuck in place, I'll test the cable again before we connect it to the charger. Of course, I'll use this because this is a MacBook Air. This for a MacBook Pro. And here is our charger once again. See, green, amber. So this cable has been repaired. Here's the complete cable. It has a new junction. The old one is here. Of course, the bit of the cable which we cut off, that's the bad portion, is out. And this cable is totally transformed. The connector is clean. The pins are okay. And the cable is working. Now what remains is to connect it to this charger right here and make a new charger.